Today, I'm making little embroidered patches with Maker Crate. Some assembly required. Hello and welcome back. This is the second part of this embroidered apron video from my Maker Crate box. In the last video, I figured out how to embroider, and I embroidered this lovely apron. Look, I'm wearing it. I know, so thematic. If you missed that one and you want to go back and look, I will put it up here for you to click over. This video, I'm going to make a little bit less of an emphasis on the actual embroidering how-to kind of stuff. So if you need to brush up on your embroidery skills or you have no idea how to embroider, that video might be helpful. Also, probably a million other videos on YouTube could help you learn how to embroider. This week, though, I'm just going to work on the patches. I didn't get a chance to get to the patches last week because I feel like they deserve a whole entire video all on their own. Because I think they're kind of a cool idea. You could make a patch for each goal that you have. Kind of like maybe you used to be a scout or something like that. Or I know that sometimes a Fitbit, or I'm not sure if the Apple Watch does, but they give you little badges for, you know, hey, you worked out 7 days in a row. Way to go. Or something like that. So I feel like there's a lot of application for this. And so I'm excited. So let me show you what we're going to need out of the Maker Crate box. We'll probably need the instructions. May have forgotten how to sew it all together at the end. We'll be needing our little patch shapes and the transfer paper. We'll be needing a needle and thread and the little pin backs. You don't need the pin backs if you want to sew your patches to something, but I feel like you might not. We'll be using our little snippies, embroidery floss, the little embroidery hoop. You could use the big one, but the little one seems more efficient. We will need our little, I think they're cotton, but the woven fabric, and the stiff felt. So the very first thing that I did was to kind of brainstorm. And so I made some sketches in my little sketchbook. You know, what might you want to get a patch for? What kind of achievement would deserve a patch? Like what goal are you working towards in life? So I came up with a couple and I chose my 3 favorite. And I traced some of the little patch shapes onto a paper and made myself a sketch. Here are the 3 designs I picked for the video. Peaceful mornings. Maybe you want to start your day with some mindfulness. Practice drawing. Lily wants to improve her drawing skills, so this is a good one for her. And gluten guru for all the bread makers out there. So I'm going to copy these onto a circle so that I know I have space to embroider them all in one hoop, because I feel like that's more efficient than like doing one and then cutting it out, and then the cloth is kind of ruined. So I'm gonna do 3 at a time and see if that works. Now it's time to transfer the designs to the cloth. I'm gonna need my paper, the cloth, a pencil, my transfer paper, and some tape. I'll just line them up and trace all the lines. Oh, pretty good. I'll just darken some of these lines a little bit. They didn't transfer all that well on this one. And then into the hoop it goes. I guess I might as well begin with my little bread guy. Crust seems like a good place to start. Here goes. So I've backstitched the bottom and right sides and split stitched the top and the left. Now I can add some satin stitches to this corner to thicken him up a little bit. I think this inside shape is a little bit too big for satin stitch, especially if you're going to be wearing it. I don't want it to snag. I'm going to try French knots as a filler. Hey, it looks kind of cool, and it makes an interesting texture, but I need to go over the crust again. If I thicken up all these crust edges with some more split stitches, I think it will look more like the two parts go together. Otherwise, the knots look a little bit like molds. Ew. That is much better. Now, I'll make his face, arms, and legs. Oh wow, the eyes needed a lot of stitches so they didn't hide under all the French knots, but it was worth it. They look cute. Now, I'm going to go ahead and embroider the other two. Ta-da! Here they are. I've picked these colors to be the border colors. I'm not 100% sure about the orange, but at least it will be cheerful. Then we just have to cut them out. So, as you can see, you can make them as complicated or as simple as you want. I feel like they don't have to be any particular way, however you like them. I did try to make sure that there weren't any really long threads, no really long satin stitches or anything like that, because I don't want them to snag, just in case you're wearing them on a beautiful apron, or you throw them on your backpack or something like that. You don't want them constantly to be getting caught on everything. That would probably be enough to drive you completely nuts. So I've got my scissors, and I'll get my little needle keeper thing out of the way. Now I am just going to cut these guys out around the outside line. So if you see here, our little patch templates have an inside line and an outside line. So while you are creating your embroidery, obviously make sure that you trace both of those onto your cloth. And then when you're cutting out, make sure that you are tracing the outside line. It doesn't have to be perfect exactly. You just need enough space to really sew everything together at the end. So I'm going to cut those out. Wish me luck. Here we are. I don't know exactly how straight and perfect and round and lovely everything needs to be, so I'm going to assume that they're fine the way they are. I just know that, according to the Maker Crate instructions, you want to make sure that your edges, like your corners, are rounded. Probably just so that your stitches will go around a little bit easier. It's hard to stitch over a perfectly square corner. You don't want the point to poke out, I guess. The next step is to trace them on this lovely sheet of stiff felt. So it's a little stiffer than your normal felt, but you can definitely get this at the craft store. I've seen it. I've never known what to do with it because I'm like, why do you want stiff felt? This is why. Who knew? What I'm going to do is trace around the outside lines with a pen, I guess, and then cut those out. So this is going to be the backing to make our pins nice and strong, because otherwise they'd just be like blah, blah. And again, I'm pretty sure that they don't have to be exactly completely perfect, hopefully, because I don't think they will be. Not bad. So I've cut everything out, and they're a little bit bigger. Ooh, and pen-y. So there's a little bit of an overlap in the back, but that's okay, because I think what we'll do is once we've sewn them together, then I can go around and kind of trim a little bit and make sure all of the edges line up a little better. Oh, that one's just the right size. So that's good. Yay, cool. The next step is, using our outer color, we are going to backstitch around that inside line. That one right over there. I'm going to backstitch right around that and attach the front to the back. Okay, all right. Something like this. Now remember, we're going to be covering up all of these stitches in the next step. So if they're not perfectly even, maybe they're a little bit crooked, it's totally fine. Now, all 3 of the patches are attached. Now, if you happen to not run out of thread at the end, you can leave your needle attached and then just start the whip stitch from there. Or, I ran out on this one, you can just start fresh with more thread. First, I will just show you the whip stitch. Maybe you know this already, but if not, here's what it is. So, here you have your patch, and your thread is either coming out the back, or you can, if you're using a new piece, you can just start it in the middle to hide your knot and come out the back. Then, to do a whip stitch, all you have to do is come around the front and poke it through. So it's like a satin stitch, but you go around the edge. So come around the front and poke it through, over and over and over and over until you have a beautiful border. This right here is why you want to make sure you have a nice round edge, because if your edges, like if your corners are too pointy, your thread's not going to want to cover them. That's it. That's the whole whip stitch. Not too bad. So as you're going around here, make sure that you don't make your whip stitches too tight, because that's going to squish your edge in a really weird way. And I think that it looks better if it's as even as you can make it. But I think it's fine to just keep going around as many times as you need to fill in all these weird little holes that sometimes you get. The whip stitch part may not be the quickest or the most intellectually, creatively stimulating, but you don't worry too much that your edges don't look even at all. It's kind of relaxing. I maybe wouldn't recommend doing 3 in a row. That's a lot of whip stitching. That is a lot of border. Here we go. Are they perfect? No. Are they awesome? Yeah, they totally are. These are really cool. They're like a little bite-sized embroidery project, which is really, really great if you're just starting out, because then you don't have to say, oh, here's a giant canvas that I have to somehow cover with embroidery. No, just a tiny canvas. That's cool. One last thing is how do I attach these to things? One, you could just sew it on. You would start with your needle in the back of your cloth, whatever you're sewing it onto, and just sew it only through the little edge pieces. Kind of just sew a couple stitches around and it's sewn on. Or you can attach a little pin back. That's what I'm going to be doing, so let's try it out. Alrighty, I'm going to demonstrate on this guy because there's a lot more space on the back, so I think it'll be easier to see. So we need regular sewing thread. I didn't tie a knot. And the pin back. Let's see, which way does it go? This way. So, you can tie your knot however you enjoy tying your knots. Maker Crate says make 3 teeny little stitches, making sure that you're not sewing all the way through to the front. 3. Do I trust it though? No, I don't. So I'm going to just do one little knot right here, because if I'm going to go to all the trouble to put a pin back on, I want it to stay on. I can trim the end. Now, you're going to want your pin to be on the top and kind of centered. So more up than in the middle. There, how about that? Sure. So, you sew to the bottom to get your needle in the right place. Then, starting from inside your felt, you'll go into the felt a little bit, under, and then come out through the hole. Now, do the same from the top. You go into the felt, through a little bit, and come out through the hole. Does that seem like enough? No, it does not. Am I going to overdo it? Yes, I am. Do 2 more. 1 from the bottom. 1 from the top. Ta-da! Great. And now, how about the middle one? And finally, that's so wiggly, finally over here for your last hole. A couple stitches to hold that one down. Now, Maker Crate would suggest that you do 3 little stitches with no knot. Oh, but I'm going to do a knot. But I'll do the 3 stitches too. And then tie a little knot. And there it is. I do think it's a little bit ugly in the back and a little bit wiggly, but it's the back, so that's okay. Let's see if I can try to tighten those stitches up on the next one. See if it makes any difference. Yes, if you make your stitches a little bit tinier and tie knots right above each hole, like just keep everything very tight, it looks a little bit less awful and less wiggly. But really, either way is probably fine. Ta-da! How cute are these? These are super fun. I cannot wait to make more of them. I think that they're a cute way to like commemorate an achievement, but also just stuff that you like and stuff you think is cute. And they are such a perfect way, tiny little project, to practice your embroidery or to show off your awesome new embroidery skills without having to do some huge complicated thing. And they turn out really cute. So, I hope that you enjoyed this video. I cannot wait to make more of these, so keep an eye out. I'm sure that I'll be back to these at some point. If you liked this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up. If you like this kind of video and you are not subscribed yet, you can do that right underneath the video. Click the all notifications button so you don't miss anything. If you like Maker Crate videos, I will link the playlist right up there and you can check them all out. Until the next video, be awesome, and I'll see you then. Bye!